we just thought we might give you a view of what some of our insurance customers are doing with FlowForma, what areas they're concentrating on, and what they're achieving. So if we look at Aon, for example, Aon are using our system to manage client onboarding and have been for many years, where they're basically validating and processing automatically new client requests and updating client details onto their client database. But they're also now using us for policy management. So that's allowing brokers to actually view policy details from individuals and update information on those policies and carry out actions. For example, creating a new policy, renewing an existing policy, or issuing or recording an endorsement. So that can be done automatically. And Flowforma is a very intuitive interface that actually puts a lot of control over the way data is captured and presented to the end user, is really making a difference in terms of the number of queries that they have to deal with. Queries being basically, back-end or actions due to inaccurate data. So, for example, if a broker selects the wrong insurer or inputs the wrong information or calculates the wrong commission rate or whatever, that typically in the past would have to be handled by a query agent who would then raise a query with the broker, and they would have to resubmit the information, consuming a lot of time. Proforma now validates all that information up front so that the whole process is much more smooth, and it ultimately saves a lot of time and cost in processing those queries. Marsh McLennan are another long-term customer of ours, and they primarily use us for IT governance within the organization. So they have a complex governance framework, as you might imagine, and they're using FlowForma to ensure that all applications in the organization are installed and deployed properly and regularly reviewed, which is part of FlowForma's ability to create their audit trail and carry out those compliance actions automatically to ensure everything is working in a compliant manner. Protection and Prosperity are using us for fact find. So where a person has to, a broker, let's say, has to go to a client and actually identify clearly what their needs are and present them with a financial case which must be accepted by the client. That whole process is managed via FlowForma, and it ensures again that all the information is captured accurately at point of contact with the customer. So these are just three examples of what insurance companies are actually using us for. There are many more, but again, we can talk to you about that on one-to-one. Catch up with Robbie at some point in the future, and he'll happily take you through those use cases.
Okay, so I'll just talk a little bit about some of the common use cases for automation across insurance that we're currently seeing and implementing solutions for our client base. As you can see on our screen, there's a broad spectrum of verticals and applications that you can apply FlowForma to across customer onboarding and new policy applications, digital signatures, and document generation would be big features in around the customer onboarding processes, policy renewals, and reminders. So a big thing again in terms of regulatory compliance, so compliance management, audit preparation and evidence gathering, and regulatory disclosure. So some of the out-of-the-box features with FlowForma are particularly appealing in the financial services sector because we have full audit trail capabilities out of the box. In terms of regulatory compliance, data residency, we're not a hosted solution, so we integrate with your existing Microsoft architecture. We install directly into your SharePoint environment. Other use cases across approvals, so underwriting decisions, policy endorsement, grant applications, claims approvals, claims management. Across broker and agent interactions, then there are broker onboarding processes, commissions approvals, contract generation, licensing, and credential tracking. And then claims handling, then, so first notice of loss, approvals and escalation workflows, compliance reviews. And in internal operations, you've got change controls, internal policy updates and sign-offs, audit trail creation for compliance. So again, where we play particularly strong is that out-of-the-box functionality in terms of full auditability with FlowForma. It's there directly out of the box. Because we seamlessly integrate with SharePoint, you have all your touch points in terms of version controlling and full In addition to that, then FlowForma's native out of the box audit trail allows you to track everything that's happened across a process. So, in terms of those features and touch points that you would need across a heavily regulatory compliant process, FlowForma ticks all the boxes. Okay, so we can just talk a little bit about some of the outcomes with automation that we typically see. So faster processing time. So automating workflows cuts down on processing time from days or weeks to hours or minutes, as you've seen there with Paul in terms of the product demonstration. Improved accuracy then, so you've got a standardized processes and practical AI is reducing errors and omissions in policy issuance and claims. So again, in that use case that we've seen in terms of the quote comparison, it's extracting information from document, it's streamlining that decision process, it's extracting information from documents, compiling them into a process, and then it's producing the document at the end. So in terms of standardizing that process with templates, reducing errors, you can practically apply it to everything. In terms of regulatory compliance, something that I touched on the last slide, so automated audit trails and permissions help insurers stay compliant effortlessly. And that is one of the things when you start to look at FlowForma, again, because we sit centrally within your existing ecosystem, your M365 environment, and we seamlessly integrate with your SharePoint environment. Audit trails is a standard out of the box functionality of that. So reduced operational cost then, so there's less manual work, means lower overhead and improved resource allocation. So typically when I engage with somebody who's looking at FlowForm in terms of a business challenge, you would have a fragmented process. It could be claims management where it's all handled over email, everything is tracked in Excel. You have disparate document libraries and things like that. So the amount of manual work that goes into tracking those processes, there's no visibility, there's no accountability, version control on documents. FlowForma reduces all that then, so your staff are actually applied in terms of their operational focus as to where they should, instead of chasing up documents or wondering what version they're working on. Greater visibility then feeds into that. So real-time dashboarding and reports provide insights into process bottlenecks and overall performance. So Paul showed you our insights module there. So real-time tracking of all that data that's captured as part of your process. You can see in terms of full visibility, accountability, where everything is in your process at any one given time. And then empowered business users. So again, we're a 100% no-code platform, all about empowering your business teams to create and modify workflows without IT dependency or developer overheads. It's all about speeding up digital transformation and standardizing it across your organization. That's FlowForma's deployment model. You can have many installations across your business units and site collections. So you do have that standardized approach to your processes where everything is built and maintained the same. You get ease of adoption and user buy-in because your subject matter experts and your process administrators have a sense of ownership over your processes.